G'day guys, my name's Chris from the Rogue Painter. I'm a beginner, sort of beginner 40k hobbyist and definitely noob 40k player. And I've been collecting Chaos Space Marines and kitbashing and painting them up as Emperor's Children or Slaanesh favouring Chaos Marines. I did plan on using a bunch of my army for the Emperor's Children when their codex eventually came out, which fortunately for me was not very long into being into the hobby. But unfortunately, when the codex came out, obviously it's basically nothing that you can actually cross over into the Emperor's Children codex from the CSM codex, and I didn't have Model Fiends or Sorcerers, so only thing I actually currently had that could be used was Terminators, and apparently Terminators in EC codex are poo. Well, not that I care about meta. I'm not a meta chaser. I play for fun and play with the units that I like, that I think are cool, that I like the sound of, and the ones that I have at the time. So I want to show you the Emperor's Children CSM army that I have got so far, the things at least I put together, and do a little bit of a showcase about each one and show you where my painting's at. I really have a lot of paint to go. I've been doing this channel for several months now, and you know, I'm not full-time into YouTube or anything like that, but yeah, I've still put quite a few hours into my hobby and into the YouTube, and still I find myself having done basically nothing. So recently I've been painting more miniatures because I have started taking on random things like doing the miniature of the month and trying to paint it in a day, or doing the painting competition, which is where I made my pretty much first videos on the channel. Yeah, just trying to step out of my comfort zone, try something different, paint things quicker with a deadline and meet that deadline, rather than getting tied up for hours and hours on ends, cleaning up the same old mistakes multiple times when I'd spill onto the black trim and just not making any progress. I think all up right now is just over 2,000 points in game right now. So pretty much one army. I haven't played a game of that size yet. The biggest I've gone is 1250. So pretty keen to test out a 2,000 pointer and see how it fares. We'll get into the army showcase. So yeah, first we have my Legionaries. My Legionaries are amazing. They are the thing that I have painted the most, except for my Rhino. This one's got the least amount of paint because I painted him recently. I built him recently, I should say. Hence he's not based. I actually based every single one of my Emperor's Children, or CSM guys, with cork and a bunch of stuff. So I've put a bit of effort into these guys. Unfortunately, because I did every single one of them all at once, I realized that there's probably a better way to do this, and not just leaving the cork fully exposed before priming, but live and learn, and any future models that I do, I will do better. Yeah, we got a decent amount of paint on these guys, but realistically the paint job is such a... Oh no, what was that? Oh, did I break something? Oh no, I broke... Oh, I knew these things were too fragile, for fuck's sake.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
Should not have used flimsy resin 3D prints. So yeah, I'm gonna have to be very careful with these Slaanesh icons. They're made of resin. 3D prints, probably not the most high quality one, but anyway, bummer. Well, these guys I think look absolutely awesome, especially these two, the three champions or aspiring champions. I painted these guys up in a stippling kind of method because I wanted to make it quicker and easier to paint, and it has been easier in some ways, but I think in some ways it's been tricky because it's hard to stipple accurately and to make it look good without getting it onto other areas. So anyway, kind of done a gradient from like black to pink horror to Emperor's Children. Actually, mainly just pink horror and then adding a little bit of off-white, I think. Something like that, but I'm doing a bit of a gradient, leaving it kind of grim dark looking and gritty. I did then go in recently and do a bit of sponging of brown, Rhinox Hide I believe, onto some of the black. Probably should have done that first and then done everything else, but this is, it was after the facts. And this, I saw it in a video of a grimdark Emperor's Children paint scheme, and I wanted to make it look dirtier and grittier and maybe a bit rusted as well. So In areas I might have put too much brown over, I will go back in with a very small and rough sponge and put a little bit of black just to dab bits of black in there as well once again. But the brown over the black definitely looks good for this style of painting. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of magnetization. I actually need to put a pauldron on this guy, but yeah, I've magnetized multiple different options for things like, you know, plasma gun and melter gun. You know, the heavy weapons guys, they'll have a different backpack magnetized for the las cannon as well, because the las cannon is going to block off part of the as you can see here, block off part of the backpack. So I've cut it off, sort of like Havocs backpacks are, and yeah, I've done different arms and backpacks to suit them, so the same guy can have multiple different weapons and suit different armies, different play styles, and also the main reason, different messes, because I was paranoid about things becoming not just out of fashion, but like just not being good anymore, and I didn't want to have the worst army going around, even though I don't just care about the mesa. But yeah, this one I'm pretty proud of doing. I added like Havoc autocannon backpack, sorry, chain cannon, and yeah, he's got himself a actually that's a heavy bolter. Sorry, heavy bolter. I started painting that. I shouldn't have. Yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, I want to get a third party barrel and put it on this guy and make it into a Reaper chain cannon, not a heavy bolter, but anyway. Then my heavy melee weapon guys, this is the one that is legit, the original, and then here's a corn guy. But you can see I've got Rune Lord brass and silver accents, and yeah, the main colors are pink and black. There are also some very select teal accents, which you probably noticed as well. Here's the other heavy weapon guy. So this one, the lore behind this guy, get this, is he has slain a corn berserker and taken his chain glaive, or whatever you call this. So this one has clearly shown the corn iconography, and he doesn't give a damn because, yeah, he's showing off his trophy, essentially. Whereas this one, this guy did the same thing with the axe, but he's actually carved off some of the corn insignia to make it less recognizable, because he didn't want to, well, he is a heretic, but you know, don't offend Slaanesh effectively. Yeah, then we got a bunch of other chainsaw building guys, light customization across the board. We got some 3D printed heads, which I thought were pretty cool, mutated alien type heads, which fit Slaanesh quite well, I think. And then also putting on some Slaanesh symbols, which according to the guy who 3D printed for me, these for me, they were the smallest and trickiest thing he's ever had to print. So sorry guy, my bad. Again, some different 3D printed heads, trying to mix in just a little bit here and there of different elements and different parts that still fit the bill. One thing that I'm still not 100% on, which I have actually changed once already, is the skin recipe, like the flayed skin. So these 3D printed pauldrons that some of them have flayed skin, like drooping from or stretched around the pauldrons. And then there's obviously the cloth, and I'll call it flayed skin, hanging from their loincloths and stuff. I started out with Ricard flesh, which I think is the worst paint ever to paint. And then I ended up discovering this Army Painter Grey Castle. I heard online that it was similar to Ricard flesh, and you know, it's definitely not an exact copy, but it does a job. I'm just noticing some other broken bits. Damn 3D printed bits in the resin, fragile, aren't they? And yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the skin. I'm going to do some test pieces first on other pieces of plastic or minis and see if I can get this Grey Castle to take like Reichland Flesh Aid wash well, or maybe not even that. I don't know. Just put some like Carabao Crimson to like look like blood and bruising, and then re-establish the highlights with a bit of off-white or something. I don't know. I hear Drakenhof Nightshade is also good for this sort of demonic kind of flayed skin. So I think I've got some experimenting to do regarding that. This guy needs a head, but you can see I've kitbashed him with a possessed arm, I believe, which is kind of hard to get to fit. I probably didn't do the best job of making that work, but hey. Then for some heavy support, I have my Havocs, and I know they're not the most like best like meta unit in the game, but I really like them. I think them with 4 las cannons is pretty dope, going either plasma gun or melter gun for the other for the sergeant. They do some damage for me, especially against my friend playing Imperial Guard. They tend to do quite well dropping in from strategic reserves in turn 2 or 3, maybe even snatching a home objective in that way if I'm lucky. But yeah, dropping absolute hell onto his Leman Russ and Sentinels when I really need it most. So yeah, haven't really converted them much. Have hardly started painting them because I wanted to nail my Legionaries first. But there's a few little sort of Slaanesh iconography and like little speaker heads that I found online. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So that's them. Get this tote out of my toolbox as we continue on to my cultists. So cultists are pretty boring. They're sort of one of the things that in the meta you need 1 unit of 10 at least just to get sticky objectives and to do a bit of screening, cheap chaff, whatever. But I think they're just so boring. And I saw, I think it was Midwinter Minis did this really cool Slaaneshi cultist kitbash years back. And I saw it like a year or so ago, and then I remembered it a few months back, and I was like, I'm going to do this. So it is essentially Age of Sigmar. What are they? Deepkin? I have the box here actually. The Namasi Reavers base kit, so like everything but the head and the bows and arrows, which I chopped off, to use Necromunda weapons. The guns, yeah, they've got their own daggers, but yeah, the guns are from Necromunda. They've got pretty much all Demonette heads to make them fit the Slaanesh theme. I could probably proxy these as Demonettes, to be honest, as well, which is handy. A couple of them have Slaanesh Hellstrider heads, but yeah, I've just been collecting a bunch of random Slaanesh stuff over the past year since I've been waiting to get into 40k because I knew I wanted to do some serious kit bashing. That's pretty much it. I've got some like little pouches and stuff in the backpacks for to fill up the hole that is there for their bow and arrows and stuff. I just got them off of Bit Store from Space Marines and stuff, and then on one of them actually has the sniper rifle from the Necromunda gang that I used as well, just for something a little different, and again, just serves the purpose of filling up that hole. But I think they look pretty awesome. Very dynamic poses, very Slaaneshi, and fits the bill of what you see is what you get as well, which is, I guess, kind of important. I actually allied in, well, I have the Champions Slaanesh box set, as you'll see back there. Haven't done anything with it though, and I don't plan to just yet, but I put together 6 Noise Marines to bring in as allies, and I have done a couple times, and I really do like them. But yeah, they're the Noise Marines. I haven't customized them at all. They're just straight out the box, yet to be based. And then we've got my Chosen, my beautiful Chosen. I love Chosen. They are very cool sculpts and very useful on the battlefield for sure. So I have magnetized the combi weapon top part of the combi weapons just in case combi weapons ever get their own separate profiles again. I don't know if that will ever happen. It's unlikely, but if it does, my boys will be ready. Yeah, so some of these I tried a Xenophil Prime, but I just realized that with my predominantly black color scheme, it was just more work to block in the black again, so I'm just going to spray them black anyway. And I think this is the last of my infantry. We have some other legit Emperor's Children sculpts. I've got three of the real flawless blades, which I think are 100%. Actually, no, I have put a tiny bit of customization on them. The standard Chaos shoulder pad, my third-party flayed flesh shoulder pad, and then I think that's it. Everything else is standard. But then I used the rest of them, inspired by Mikey Hellstorm Gaming, to create more flawless blades / possess. So when I start Emperor's Children, I'll probably use these as flawless blades, all of them, because I put flawless blade heads on, some pauldrons, and weapons onto these guys, so they are possessed flawless blades. And yeah, they've worked really well. Like, I think the aesthetic of them does go together relatively well. I did have to scratch off and clean up certain parts of the armor that were kind of very, very mutated, a bit too spiky or mutated for my liking. So I've smoothed them down, created more of a consistent aesthetic. It still suits Chaos Space Marines very much, but it also suits Emperor's Children a little bit more with their new look. Yeah, so I think they look absolutely rad. And here's the one which I've actually painted a bit of a test scheme for this rough, because I want to keep the paint all being cohesive, but at the same time have the option to do something a bit different when I paint my real Emperor's Children army. So I've gone a bit of a rough, sponged and stippled flawless host scheme. So I've done like the volumetric highlighting using sponges, and then also kind of like a rough blend where the purple meets the skin tone armor. Instead of doing flames, I've just done like a rough, messy kind of blotchy pattern, and it actually looks, in my opinion, pretty good. I'm actually really liking these. So this model's not quite fully painted, but the armor is pretty much done, and it was quite quick and simple, to be honest. So this is my test scheme. I'm probably going to do another 1 or 2 testers, and then I will do a video on that one and show you guys exactly how I did that and how it ends up. So very excited. So I've got 8 possessed there / flawless blades, so not enough for 2 squads, but I can play 8 of them and just pay the points for 10. I'll do more later though. Then as we get into other units, we have a Hellbrute, which I have recently remagnetized, so it is much stronger and much more reliable now. Look at this. Oops, oh shit. Luckily, plastic is a lot stronger than resin. Oh. Okay. The tips of the gun kind of just push in. They do have magnets, but they're not, yeah, this needs some work, I'll admit, but the arms are very stable. They're not going anywhere, right? My Forge Fiend is I think this is my most recent purchase, and I just did a short on magnetizing these guns, and I think I'll probably end up doing a full-length video on it too. Done the basing for it, put in a little bit of effort on that, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been fun to play with. I just think Forge Fiends are very cool, so regardless of whether it was good or not, I wouldn't care. Now my Rhino, I did a bunch of shorts on this quite a while ago now. This is probably my most painted thing. This is where my stippling on method and like the sponging method to do, I guess, highlights really came to with this Rhino. But with this one, I don't think it was so much about accurate volumetric highlighting. It was more like trying to make like a worn, degraded, gritty, grimdark feel. Some of these highlights might not be completely accurate, but it's more about just showing like the edges and the parts that you'd expect to be worn the most are the darkest and like have this black and brown, gritty looking effects. But it also then creates shadows, natural shadows and highlights, which work well to sell the direction of light. So that's that. I've magnetized this whole thing. I will probably add like the combi weapon and the bolter cabin, so that way I can have, you know, all the options here, and that'll be really cool. But yeah, the Havoc launcher is magnetized. The dude up here is magnetized, and then this is magnetized as well. If I can get it out, so I can actually store all the spare parts in here, which would be cool. And what else? I think I magnetized these doors just in case I ever decided to turn this into like a Predator or whatever. I think you can like swap the doors out for the weapon doors, and again on this side. So that took a lot of work, but we got there in the end. Oh, I missed some troops right behind me. So I've started some Terminator Kitbashes, which I have just kind of left idle now for quite a while, but the champion I'm leaving the spikes on. I've also magnetized the combi weapons, like I said before. The other guys, I took the spikes off mostly, and I want to do something different that's a bit more Slaanesh-y. So we'll see what we do there. But I have also customized these guys to have power spears, and I'm not done with them yet, but yeah, I've started doing power spears. I use like some Space Wolf sword, power swords, and some copper rod, and cut off the accursed weapons and stuff, and it was a whole thing. But I want to make them look more chaosified, but don't mind Terminators, so I will finish them. You'll notice that the paired accursed weapon guy actually has a possessed arm and a sword, so I thought that was pretty Slaanesh. Onto the HQs, so I've got this Chaos Lord proxy, which I saw someone online did something very similar. It's an Age of Sigmar Stormcast guy. I think it's from Skaventide box, and I put like a Chaos Pauldron on, a Chaos icon, a horn, put a horn onto his head, which already looks pretty like Chaos and Slaanesh-y. I actually put this little speaker face on his knee, which again looks Chaos, looks Slaanesh. And then a Genestealer Cult, I think, claw, and that works so well. It works even better than it did on my Legionary champions because the cape drapes around it and covers up the other parts which are hard to get to blend in. And yeah, I thought the Flaming Sword works really well as, you know, a demon hammer proxy because it's clearly either demonic or magic. And then the claw can be a power fist, but then also you can easily say that this guy has a pistol beneath his cloak. That's not really hard to believe, so he can fit pretty much any loadout for a Chaos Lord. Haven't played with him in a while though, because I've been taking a broader range of guys, and I've since put together the real Chaos Lord from the veterans of the Long War Pack. Hammer, plasma pistol, didn't magnetize the arm, so I can't put a fist on him, but I don't really care. The hammer is the way to go, because I love those dev wounds. I got Dark Apostle, I was Dark Disciple somewhere as well. Kitbashed him a little bit. I actually, yeah, fairly extensively. Like that backpack is very customized with some organs. He's got a different head on there. That's about it, I guess, though. Then we have my Terminator Sorcerer, which is actually... this is a Deathwing Knight, the miniature of the month that came out a while ago with the Deathwing Knight. I got that and saved it for this, like, to do something like this, and built up a bit of the base and added on like a Thousand Suns Sorcerer book, and yeah, normal Chaos Terminator trophy rack, the magnetized combi weapon with some Chaos arms and stuff. And then I had to cut the elbow to make the hand face upwards, this power claw hand from the Terminators. It was like this. I wanted it to do this towards the hand, the face, like. So to get that cool imposing pose, I had to chop the elbow off, and then hence the pipes were no longer aligned and had been cut off. So I had to green stuff a tube, which worked out pretty well. Problem is I've already primed it, so I'm gonna have to prime over it or just paint over that green stuff. Then we have my Master of Possession, which I also put together quite recently. I magnetized his arm just in case I ever wanted to. I saw somebody like put a power sword on one arm like this, and I thought that could be cool, and then I could call this another Chaos Lord, or maybe even a Lord Exultant. So yeah, his staff / Slaanesh thing, symbol, is magnetized. I put a chosen head on that looks kind of Slaanesh-y and possessed, and yeah, it works well. Yet to use him with my possessed, so I might try that next game and see how it goes. But Fabius Bile next. We're getting towards the end now. Also needs to be based, and yeah, it's just bare plastic, but he is definitely pretty much always in my lists. +1 strength, +1 toughness, stands up after dying, negating damage to 0 every turn, not just every battle round. He's good, man. He's good. And then we have my most recent creation. I have actually been working on putting this together for quite some time and only just finished it because I was procrastinating, I guess, and I wasn't confident in my ability to finish it. I probably need to tidy it up a little bit, but it's pretty much done. So what we have here is my Master of Possession. It's probably maybe my most proud creation in terms of things that I've actually put together and built. But yeah, it's got like a chosen trophy rack on a normal Legionary backpack. It's got some 3D printed bits to make it more customized and Slaanesh-y, but at the same time, like the flayed skin pauldron also really fits the whole Master of Execution vibe as well. It's got the Legionary body that's like holding the power axe and the plasma pistol like this from the Start Collecting and Shadow Spear box, which I managed to get my hands on a couple sets of the Chaos side. Yeah, I had to do a bit of cutting and stuff, add the whip on, and the power, I put some green stuff in the arm for the power spear, and had to like sculpt in the lines of the bodysuit underneath. And then that power spear isn't actually a power spear, it's the Lord Exultant's power sword with a couple of the shafts of other power weapons glued together and pinned together to make it longer like a spear. and then just has the, you know, the hand of the Legionary that belongs to one of those power weapons. It wasn't really that hard. It was a pretty simple kit bash, but it's come together really well. And now I have my own customized power spear wielding Master of Executions that I could also proxy as a Chaos Lord and also as a Lord Exultant for Emperor's Children, because it has a whip, a power spear, and a pistol holster. So that was intentional. I wanted to make sure this is as flexible as possible. Oh yeah, and last of all, this is not part of my Chaos Space Marines army, but here's the diorama that I submitted my friendly local game store painting comp not long ago, which I'm pretty damn proud of. Between this and the Master of Executions, it's my proudest creations. This one is just a display piece, and I'm going to keep it that way, probably varnish it, put it somewhere for safekeeping. But yeah, that's it. That's my army, how I've kit bashed them, how I painted them or plan to paint them, why I like them, what I like about them. Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about my expensive plastic crack addiction. Thanks for listening to me waffle on about my hobby, and hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot and helps me create more videos in the future. That's all for now though. Bye.